My name is Rodger Smith, born and bred in Wentworth, and my gripe is mainly on the great outer branch of the River Darling, which is only a minor thing to the Darling and Menindee Lakes, I realise that. But the point that I want to make is in 2004, when the outer branches pipeline for stock and domestic pipeline, that's all very good, very successful, no problems. But the outer branch itself was supposed to have environmental flows, and the environmental flows aren't going to be there because there's no water for the Darling first up, and secondly the outer branch gets the water out of Lake Corndilla. There's no other outlet out of Lake Corndilla except in the Red Bank Creek down into the outer branch. But the gripe I've got is that there were 17 block banks, or control block banks, make sure that they had pipes in them, control block banks in the outer branch system, and with the removal of those when the pipeline went in, and the outer branch in parts now is completely smothered with trees. And the thing is, if we get another big flood, I don't know where the water's going to, well I do know where it's going to go. It's going to go AWOL. The trees are there, so I spoke to Ryan earlier and said there's no way you can walk through them, you know, clumps of areas across the creek. We tried to get permission to spray them, like the main waterway at the bottom of the creek, and Department of Water at Baronga said no, don't touch them. We then asked for permission to using dozers to doze the channel out, so when any water comes down it would run free. No sir. Anyway, the last letter I got back was yes, with great permission and your expense and a lot of other things, we'll allow you to doze a small channel through. And I said, well, who's going to belong to the creek when that channel goes in? They said, oh, it's government. I said, well, if that's government, mate, you do it with your money, not mine. So that's that one. But secondly, I hear a lot of stories about blue-green algae and bad management by producers. I go back to 1956 flood down the outer branch, and the outer branch was miles wide. The story was then that the outer branch was carrying as much water as what the Darling did. I'm not going to argue on that with anybody, but that was the story. But what I was getting to, the outer branch ran for 6 months with severe turbidity and that sort of thing, but that happened in the flood, no problem for that. But when the water went down, the blue-green algae was there. Now that blue-green algae got there by no assistance of any primary producer or horticulturist or whatever, because the water ran for 6 months, and after it started to subside, my brother and I used to swim in that, and we'd come out covered in blue stuff and we thought we're heroes. Instead we're probably idiots. But we swam in it, and for a lot of areas for miles and miles, the blue-green algae was on the banks of the outer branch, from the water's edge probably had a metre, and it was bright blue. As I said, for miles and miles. We used to walk in it, ride bikes through it and whatever. So that didn't get there from primary producers, I don't believe, and good reason to believe so. So that's about it. Michelle?
So when you were talking about the outer branch and the trees and things that are growing now into the creek bed, I mean, is that something that you've been seeing for a while in terms of the whole ecosystem changing because water's not coming through it?
Yes, with the block system that we had, or regulated banks, there was always a certain amount of water there, and the trees couldn't grow on the base of the outer branch because there was water there. And when there was no water, well, the time was right for all these seeds, gum tree seeds, to be there, box trees, heap of box trees too. They germinate and away they go, and they are thick, very thick.
So you think it's going to change the whole water course if water ever does come back to it?
Oh, well, it'll have to, because the amount of trees there are going to collect a lot of debris, and I just can't, well, yeah, it's going to be a mess. Be a lot of homesteads probably isolated or drowned out there that are on the inner branch, because it's not only our area down the bottom, there's other areas too that are thick as thick. So,
in your opinion, we've heard a lot about people's opinions about the mismanagement of the water flows and the river systems. What do you think are some solutions that would make some of the systems healthier?
Well, I think just about every speaker said it before me, that yes, keep the water running down the Darling, and you know, the Darling's got preference over the Anna Branch for sure. I've got no argument on that, but it's nice to see water down the Darling, and any surplus they do get might come down the Anna Branch. And we are supposed to get an environmental flow, I believe, every 3rd year, and I don't see that happening, and it hasn't happened yet. So.
And generally, because you live in town, what do you see when you're chatting with folks? What are their concerns and worries about the future?
Yeah, their thoughts are exactly the same as mine. You know, I suppose when you're out on properties like that, you're a community together. We might be a few k's apart and that sort of thing, but it's when we have gathering points, it's a topic of conversation, and yes, that's our livelihood. So you talk about it, discuss it. Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think you've heard enough from me, Michelle. Thank you.
No, it's all very good. Is there any other questions?
But I know that Darling and Menindee part's more important than Anna Branch, but I just thought...
No, for us it's all of these stories.
One thing I probably didn't say is that if the Darling's left too long, I don't know anything about the Darling to speak of it, but it could get trees in the bottom too, and you know, be a problem there, because we weren't allowed to shift the trees out of the Anna Branch. Are they? Right. Well, there you go.
So it's entirely changing the ecosystems from our management. Yeah,
well, these trees down the bottom end on our property are feet and feet high. They're not just little fellas, they're far way up. And I'll guarantee you wouldn't walk through them too quick. Be good army training camp for them. There's no worry about that, because the fat boys wouldn't get through. Skinny one might, but no, they're very thick. Honestly, they're very thick.
Yeah. And you've never seen it like that before?
No, never.
Never?
No, never. No.
Yeah. So that's actually an interesting additional point. Not only are the systems either deprived of water or holding water when they shouldn't, the overall ecosystem changes that people are seeing can have longer term effects.
Yep.
Yeah. Were there any other questions? Thank you so much. We really do appreciate you sharing your time. Thank you. Thank you.